Good afternoon, A10. We're going to continue on with our thematic breakdown, and I believe this will be the only video we'll have left for that, and then the rest will be chapter summaries. So, reminder that you have your projects and you have your chapter summaries and questions, and the assignments that I've pointed out in the previous video. And we'll have, I believe, one or two more that I'll point out as well. So just follow along here. And in your course outline booklet. So theme 3, we have the effects of video games on children. I'm not going to go into great detail on this one because it's pretty self-explanatory, and we've already discussed this when we did our stereotyping unit, and we talked about video games and the impact that it has on society, especially in regards to stereotyping. And so I do mention the Ender's Game movie. The movie is just for inspiration, for to help you with the visual component and maybe some of the interactions. But the movie, although it was approved by Orson Scott Card, the author, it does not follow the novel exactly. Okay, it does skip across and maybe interpret things a little bit differently as well, especially in regards to time. So any references you make should be primarily from the novel. Okay, so I'm going to let you just check that out for your own information. If those links on any or any of these links that are in this document in the course outline booklet do not work, please let me know so I can get them updated or changed. As far as I know, they're still working. And of course, this was updated November 2019. So if they've stopped working since then, please let me know. Assignment 4, you will do that. So do we often mimic or copy what we hear and see in real life? So just answer the question, explain, and validate it. Use some personal experiences maybe, or what you've seen or what you've heard in the media, things like that. Okay, and you can tie that to your chapter 1 as well. Theme 4, science fiction as a commentary on society. I don't expect you to watch Tron or Matrix or Animatrix. The Sixth Day would be another one. Gamer. And those are just some other movies that are out there that uses video games as a primary source for their plot, and how it dictates what society is like when video games take hold of our belief systems, our governing, our definition of identity, and the whole concept of diversity and so on and so forth. And so it's just, those are interpretations, but of course it does fall in the science fiction category if you look at the types of examples of what makes a science fiction show or story a science fiction show or story. And that's on page 10 and 11, and I believe 12 as well. So you can just look back at the number 1 for that information. But science fiction as a whole is used to comment on issues affecting our society, to provide readers and viewers other ways to solve issues for now, or even for sure in the near future. So, and that's why I always go to Star Trek as a prime example of how that show or the franchise itself has used what's been happening at the time the show came out, and took the events of that time, maybe historical events as well, and looked at alternatives of how things could have been handled differently, maybe even better, so that event, especially if it's a historical event dealing with, say, World War I or II, maybe those wars could have been prevented had we been able to quit playing the political games or the incorporating manipulation and stuff like that, where it divided countries and cultural groups and so on and so forth, and led to a divide in our world. Lots of similarities if you've seen The Matrix, and keep in mind the rating systems for these movies, and please check out, get permission if you do want to find comparison or contrasts between Ender's Game and these other examples. Stargate SG-1 is a TV show, another good example of science fiction using science and the fictional stories based on actual events or historical events, and what would happen if these things were handled differently, if certain people weren't in, or certain players were not involved, and things like that. What would have happened? You know, things like that. We've had a good discussion in the class about this if we had the opportunity. But if you want to have a discussion, we are certainly open to discussions on Google Classroom. If you want to even set up a Zoom meeting, we can have a discussion there too and debate. I was looking forward to having some good debates for this unit, and I know you wanted that before we before closure. We had talked about having debates or more of them, and so if you want to have those discussions, let's do that. Okay, so just let me know and set it up, and we can have the set up a meeting time for that. So I'll let you read through that. There's some links there as well. Again, if they do not work, let me know. Do not do assignment number 5. Okay, and theme 5, implication of genetic engineering. Now, we aren't watching the video Star Trek Enterprise Season 4 Borderland episode. Just you don't have access to it, but it would have been a really good example of what genetic engineering is and what comes the negative aspects of it. Yes, there's probably some good things about it that, if handled well, can help people out. We've had stem cell use which have helped people out. There's been some cloning taking place, especially with the cloning of sheep in 1996. But again, there's still the argument, if you clone an animal or a human being for that matter, the human being is very complex. So would you have, if you cloned yourself, for example, would your clone be exactly the same as you? Maybe on the surface, but would they still have the same emotions, same memories and stuff like that? And so it comes down to something as simple as a photocopier. When you take your initial document and you photocopy it, is it the same as the original document that's being photocopied? And some people will say yes, it is, maybe at first, but then after it's been photocopied X number of times, and the quality of it starts to diminish and things like that. So those are questions you need to ask yourself while you're reading Ender's Game, and especially in regards to how Ender is genetically engineered. And you'll see that Ender has a bit of Valentine, a bit of Peter, and of course himself. So if you think of a recipe, sprinkle a little bit of Valentine's traits and capabilities and Peter's traits and capabilities, and mix them in with Ender's traits and capabilities. Now you have this person, this young child who is capable of doing many things better than people that are older than him, or the ones he's competing with at battle school. So just keep that in mind, that Ender is the culmination of his sister and his brother, and of course his own experiences, especially having to wear that monitor longer than any other child that was being monitored by the governing body, or the IF. I'll let you continue to read the rest of this, but it's too bad we won't be able to see that episode. But if you do see a documentary or something that pertains to genetic engineering, certainly check it out and just see how complex it is and how divisive it is as well. Do not do assignment number 6, okay? There are some other, the ethical aspects of genetic engineering. There's a link there, and the pros and cons of genetic engineering. Using children as tools of war, theme number 6. Children have been used as tools of war for a long time. They've been used to help keep the war going, create support for a just war. They may be trained at an early age to be soldiers of the future, which happens to be the case in Ender's Game. So lots of examples where children are placed in a soldier-like environment or atmosphere, and before you know it, they're no longer a child. They are they've grown up way too fast, and we see that with especially those who are fighting child poverty, the war that's being fought on the streets right now, the gang issues, and so on and so forth. So there's another link there as well. You can check that out. And we have the characters as well, and each chapter has words or terms that you may not know what the meaning of it or how they're used. So please check that out and add that to your vocabulary. And the recaps, these are not summaries. They're just a little snapshot of what's happening in the chapter, and just keep yourself on track and on task. And also we have our questions. So please, with your summary first and then your questions afterwards. So if you can keep everything organized in that fashion, that'd be great. All right, so other than that, if you have any questions, please let me know. We're done the themes right now. If you need to talk about one or two of the themes, if you want to debate those themes, let's debate. Okay, let's have a really good discussion about that. Other than that, I'm going to switch over to summaries in the next video. So take care and be safe.